Welcome back to the Tom Feld Blacksmith YouTube channel. This is part 3 of how to build an online shop and sell your products online. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, this is not going to make a ton of sense. Go back in my channel, find part 1, part 2, make sure you watch that before you watch the rest of it. We are going to be taking a really deep dive into traffic and how to get traffic into your website, start getting customers to see all of the content that you've created, all of the products on sale, and hopefully start getting you some sales. So check it out. So traffic, it's the big one. It's the thing that you need to spend most time getting your head around. Traffic is customers. Traffic is people visiting your website. Now, Etsy already do this for you. They have a large and consistent audience, customers coming through the door that already expect to spend money, that they already expect to see handmade, handcrafted items. They are very valuable customers because they have done a lot of that work for you. It's essentially what you're on Etsy for. Etsy know that, and Etsy charge you a lot of money for that privilege. There is an alternative to Etsy. It's an alternative that services millions upon millions of customers and potential customers a day. And it dwarfs Etsy, and it's called Google. If you are going to establish an online shop, you have to absolutely befriend Google in every possible way that you can think. They want to know everything about your business. They want to know what you're doing, what you're selling, how you do it, where you are, what your customers are like, what your customers want. They want to know absolutely everything, and you need to be prepared to tell them as much as you can. Google's main objective when it comes to sorting traffic for your website is to understand how relevant you are to the search that's being conducted online. And it's your job to show them what you are doing so it can determine how relevant you are to each search. Remember, nobody knows who you are. The people searching Google, they don't know who you are. They know what they are interested in buying. So as long as you are relevant to what they are searching for, you are going to get shown to them. Now, in terms of Google searching, Google is reactive. And what I mean by that is that it can only show results to people putting in prompts. It is only able to react. If people aren't searching for something, Google is not going to be showing your products to those people. So for example, some fireplace tongs, more people are going to be searching for that when it's cold than they are when it's hot. And so you're going to sell less of them when it's warm than you are when it's cold because fewer people are searching for them. You have to get into the mind of somebody doing searching. Why are they searching? When would they be searching? What products solve the problems that they might be searching for? So how do they determine that you're relevant? Well, what they do is they crawl any website that exists. Every so often, their robots will go out and they will crawl each of the websites and they will find out what information's on there. They will look at certain keywords, look at things like accessibility, look at certain things like alt tags, which are you giving pictures captions so that visually impaired people can use text readers to describe what is in an image. Google like all of that stuff, but a lot of the time they'll also use keywords. So once they've crawled your website, they understand what the text that you've used on there is and what it means. And they can coordinate that with what people are searching for and show them relevant results based on what they've searched using those keywords. Okay, so imagine this scenario. You have a product that you've called handmade fire poker, and someone searches the internet for handmade fire poker. You should be shown to that person, right? That's part of how it works. Your product is relevant to that search term, but your website as a whole will be considered under so many other factors. Google will be looking at all of the different aspects of your website, and all of that in entirety builds a picture that Google can determine whether your website is the most relevant or not to show to that searcher. So this is why it's really important to use a website builder like Wix or Shopify, because they will already take into consideration all of the things that your website needs to do in order to build the entire picture for Google to understand what is and isn't relevant. If you you were a pet shop and Google knew you as a pet shop and you happen to have a web page on there called Handmade Fire Poker, the person that's typing in Handmade Fire Poker is not going to be shown, not on the first page at least anyway, your results, because your whole picture of your whole website is not as relevant to what they think that person is wanting to find. So it's about creating an entire picture using your website that Google can recognize, and all of the aspects to your website, the description of your website, what your website is registered as, and what Google recognizes it as. If all of that supports the idea that you are somebody that is selling a handmade fire poker, you suddenly become more relevant. Now, the tricky thing is that there are thousands of people all trying to do this, and Google, quite sensibly, don't tell anybody how they're making sure that websites are relevant. All you can do is be as authentic and as genuine and as relevant to what you're selling as you possibly can do. And the more that you do that, the more Google understands what you do, what you're selling, what you would be relevant for. And slowly but surely, you will become more relevant. So get your website known to Google. There are all sorts of things that you can do, most of which we've talked about, but there's countless others. Google Business Registration is a really good thing to do. It allows you to claim that your website is a part of a business and you can give that business a location. They're the bits that you see when you type in and a company will come up. It'll get displayed in a slightly different way because that business has been registered with Google as a business. All of that's going to feed in to what Google understand, and it'll all help them build a picture of how relevant and how useful you are to somebody searching. Now, I'm sure a lot of you will have heard people talk about getting onto the first page of Google. And that's a reference to this idea that, you know, if you have to click through the search results on Google, it's kind of, you get very quickly get to be irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's really clicking through to the next pages of Google. Now, that phrase used to be true. The trouble is, over the years, what you'll notice is that actually Google's on the first page of Google. If you do a web search either on your phone, on a laptop or whatever, on a tablet, what you notice is that the first thing you'll see at the very, very top is products. Now, that's Google. Google has decided that the person searching for something is searching for something that's a product. And as soon as Google realized that, Google show you a list of those kinds of products. You actually have to scroll down because then you get the sponsored links, which are all paid advertising. And it takes a long time to actually get any organic, what these are called, search results. You can ignore these. These don't matter for you. If you search Tom Fell Blacksmith, you will get all sorts of information about me. And you would find it hard to find a result on this front page of Google that's not about me. But nobody is searching Tom Fell Blacksmith. They are all searching for products. So suddenly, getting onto the first page of Google is largely irrelevant. What you need to do is become more relevant to Google. And one of the ways that you do that, if you're selling products, is to be seen as a product. Now, what you have here is a list of products. And if you go to the shopping tab on Google, that is also simply just the long list of products. Suddenly, you have a whole new hierarchy of Google to get in front of. The trouble is, if you just sort out your website, like I've described, and you set up all of these product pages selling all of your products, you're still not going to appear in this list. This list is specifically products that are registered with something called Google Merchant Center. And what you need to do is get into Google Merchant Center. Basically, what they do is you create a spreadsheet, probably a Google Docs spreadsheet, that lists all of your products, product name, product description, product title, price, image links, product descriptions, all of these things exactly as they appear on the website. You then upload that. There's a way that you can upload that as part of a feed to Google Merchant Center. And if it matches the information that you have on your website, then eventually your products will feature in this shopping tab. And that's where you want to be, because ultimately, again, think like a shop. You need to be selling products. People that are looking for products are not looking down here where all the text search results are. You need to get yourself into this section of Google. And then once you're there, the more relevant, the nicer the photo, the more traffic you get, the more Google thinks your website is an important website, the more Google understands your business, understands the nature of it, sees your website being active, the further towards this left-hand side you're going to end up with your products. Now, the most important part about this spreadsheet is a column called product code. Now, product code is a code that you give each one of your products that refers to a Google created list of product codes that it has assigned to every single possible type of product imaginable. It's called the Google taxonomy codes. You can Google it quite happily. You will get a downloadable spreadsheet that you can search that will give you every single product you could possibly think of, and it will give you a code for those products. It is so vital that you find the right code for the product you're offering, whether that's a ceramic bowl, whether that's a hand-drawn greetings card, whether that's a forged poker. Anything like that is going to be in that list. You need to take the time to make sure that you find the right code and assign your product with that code. As soon as you do, Google will understand what you're trying to sell. And when they understand what you're trying to sell, suddenly you can become more relevant, because when somebody searches for something like that, they are going to have a big head start to work out, right, these are all the products. And then they can go on to look at things like accessibility, keywords in titles, keywords in descriptions, relevancy, all of it. So take the time to trawl through Google Merchant Center, do all of the things that it wants you to do as much as you can, and get Google to understand your business, understand what you're offering, understand what services or products you're offering. And as soon as you do, again, in a couple of weeks, you'll appear in this shopping list. And that's where you want to be. Now, what we're talking about here is exclusively organic traffic. That's the term that's used for traffic that's sent to your website that has come from organic searches. The alternative to organic search is paid search, and that's paid advertising that you would use Google Ads for. I use Google Ads with my products, and it's taken me an awful long time to work out exactly how to use it, what it's good for, the pros and the cons. It's an immensely complicated thing to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about it in this video. There are plenty of videos on YouTube that talk about how to set it all up, how it could work for you, the best tactics, the best ideas, the best strategies. I'm not going to muddy the waters, certainly not in this video. It's definitely something, once you get your head around the organic traffic, once you start seeing regular incoming traffic and you're making sales, you know that your system is working, you know that your products are wanted, you know that the quality is good, then you can start thinking about paid ads. And when you do, you're going to see a decent return. They do really work. They are right at the top. They are the first thing that you see when you do a search. But if you get this right, and if you do all of the things that I've said and all of the things that you can see that Google want information-wise about your business, you should start to see that come through. If you've got everything right, you should start to see traffic, and you should start to see that traffic converting into sales. So what you can see here is organic traffic visitors to my website at the same period of time Etsy's visitors to my Etsy shop as it was back then when I was still doing it. And what I've done to get there is all that I've told you to do in this video. Now, it might have taken time, but ultimately, this is where you can end up. You can get far more traffic to your website than you can to your Etsy shop if you do the right things, if you do the right practices. So whatever you do for a living, whatever products you're wanting to sell, if you're a blacksmith like me, or whatever other craftsperson, you're selling handmade products, you need to consider setting up your own shop to sell online. If you do everything that I've said, over time, your website will start to get traffic, and suddenly you will be no longer having to pay someone like Etsy for that traffic. It's really straightforward. It's going to take you 2 days max to get everything started. And then once you get going, you can upgrade everything as you go, start to fine tune it. Hopefully, I have made the unmanageable feel a lot more manageable. That's what I want to do. If you find this useful, please share it with anybody who's looking to sell their products online, because this isn't just Blacksmith specific. And just go ahead and try a free trial and see how you get on. Please feel free to get in touch with me through the comments or send me an email. You can find that on my channel page. Get in touch. I'm happy to talk about anything that you want to talk about with this. If you want to see further stuff on any aspect, then please let me know, probably in the comments. I can get back to you from there. I want this to be helpful. I want it to work for you. And if I've missed anything out or you need anything explained further, then by all means, get in touch with me.